We are at 12:05. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Um, it's a topic I'm passionate about. Right now, people that are renting are funding my retirement. So I brought in my business partners as well, Jeffrey and Kripa. Jeffrey helps sell real estate in the GTA area, and Kripa handles on in the Calgary market. And I want to be discussing to everyone why they should stop funding my retirement and look at, and again, specifically right now, because that's where the opportunity is. And I'll show everyone why they should be buying versus renting. So first of all, for those that don't know who I am, my name's Alex Wilson. I'm owner and broker of record at Remax Wealth Builders Real Estate. Been selling real estate for over 15 years, since 2008. In 2022, I was recognized the #1 real estate agent in Canada for individual transactions. As an individual, I've been inducted into the REMAX Hall of Fame, received the Lifetime Achievement Award at 35, and received the REMAX Circle Legend Award at 40. What's significant to everyone here is that I've turned a $39,000 deposit into a $17 million real estate portfolio. And that's not even including my personal residence or our office building. And I only highlight that because we're not necessarily talking about investing today, but we are, because the property that you buy to live in will be funding your future forever home. And I'm going to show you this. So here's that portfolio that I'm talking about, the $17 million portfolio, everything I own. And I want to show people, I show people this to show that, hey, I walk the walk, I talk the talk. I invest in real estate, I own real estate. But also I want to show people the value of holding this real estate over time. So when I talk about renters funding my retirement, this is the current value of all these properties right here. And the thing is, all these properties have mortgages. And how people that rent fund my retirement is that their rent covers my mortgage expense, my maintenance fees, my property taxes on the properties, or maintenance on the property. So that, yes, right now it has a value of over $17 million, but if I sold it all, I wouldn't get $17 million. It all has mortgages. The majority of that would go back to the bank. But in 30 years, when those mortgages are paid off by the people that live in the property, aka the people renting from me, I will have a portfolio worth $42 million, and that's been fully paid off by people paying down the mortgages that live in the properties, and that's factoring in a 3% compounded annual growth rate. So that's why I'm passionate about this, because you guys are funding my retirement that are renting. It doesn't make sense. And I'm going to show you the math where it doesn't make sense in this presentation, and why right now specifically is a time that you should be looking at getting out there and buying versus renting. So your dream home, your dream home, forever home in 10 years, the formula. I'm going to show you, because I've done it. I've done this. I have done this. Everything I'm going to tell you, I am now 42 years old. I'm turning 43 this year. Everything I tell you in this presentation, I have personally done myself. That's how I know that you can do this too. So the formula to your dream home in 10 years, and this is why you got to start today, because that home you buy today, whether it's a condo or a multi, will fund that next purchase of your next property. So this is what I did. You buy a multi-bedroom condo or a multi-unit house to offset the expense of holding onto the property. In 5 years, refinance or sell that property and purchase a triplex to live in. Did that. In another 5 years, refinance the triplex and purchase your forever home. You do these steps and you will have your forever home set in 10 years. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. People downstairs making a bunch of noise. Okay. So what I want to show you is I have a 5-minute video that shows this exact formula, exactly what I did. So just let me play this video. My first time doing a share of a video in here. So let me just get this going. Open. Okay, I've opened it. And hey everyone, Alex Wilson, broker owner of Remax Wealth Builder. So quick thing, can you guys see this video right now? In the chat. Yes, perfect. Okay. Let's play the real estate, real wealth, real estate, alexjwilson.com. And excuse the attire, I'm just in the process of moving, and that's when I had an epiphany. I want to show you how, in under 5 minutes, how I bought 2 houses in Toronto, detached homes valued at $5.5 million with only $25,000 of my own money. It is amazing. It's my story. It's my journey. Watch now. Please subscribe. Thank you. The journey started in 2012. That's when I took $25,000 from my RRSPs to purchase a condo for $475,000. To put this in perspective for people that are watching, in 2012, I was 30 years old, single, and I rented the second bedroom of the condo for $900 per month to a friend to help cover my costs. Now I have an asset that I own that hopefully goes up in value every year as well. Instead of paying rent to a landlord every month, part of my mortgage payment goes towards paying down the principal on the mortgage I'm paying myself. Fast forward 4 years, my fiance is living in the condo. We have 2 dogs. And because of those 4 years of appreciation and equity pay down, we've now saved enough to buy a house. In 2016, we sold the condo for $630,000. Over the 4 years, we had appreciation and equity pay down. We then used the funds from the sale to buy a triplex for $1.6 million. I'm still only $25,000 in on all these transactions. Now, I ended up being short $100,000. I could have bought a detached home for 1.2 to 1.4 million, but that would have been single family. So what I did is I went to my mother and I borrowed $100,000 from her at 10% interest. Why could I do that, or why did I feel comfortable doing that? Because I bought a triplex. Gross rent on that was $5,180 while we were living in the property monthly. So that made the carrying costs less than the condo, even with the $100,000 at 10% interest. So in September 2016, we moved from our 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom penthouse condo in Queen West into the 1-bedroom, 1-washroom basement apartment of the triplex with our 2 dogs. My wife cried for 2 days. Now the basement was short-term pain for the long-term gain we were about to experience. The following year in 2017, we moved from the basement to the main floor of the house where we welcomed our first child. We also refinanced the house that year and paid off the $100K loan to my mother. In 2019, we welcomed our second child. We are now a family of 4 living in 900 square feet on the main floor unit of the house. In 2020, we pulled more equity from the house and renovated the second and added a 3rd living space on the 3rd floor in the attic, and we moved into that unit. In 2021, we welcomed our 3rd child. We are now a family of 5 plus 2 dogs in the 2nd and 3rd floors of the house while still renting out the main floor and basement of the house, generating income. Being a family of 5 and 2 dogs, in 2022, we made the decision we needed more space. So we bought a new house. So how do we buy the new house? Well, we refinanced the triplex for $2.5 million. We then used those refinance funds to purchase a $3 million single-family home. The gross rent on the triplex was now $10,750 per month without us living there. providing us with positive cash flow after the refinance of $1,250 per month. In conclusion, with only $25,000 of RRSP funds invested in 2012, I now own 2 detached homes valued at $5.5 million in 2022 in Toronto. Why do this? In 30 years, when I'm 70, the triplex will be paid off and worth $6 million at a very conservative 3% compounded annual growth rate. Plus, our primary residence would be worth nearly $7.3 million, a total of $13.3 million, all on an initial $25,000 investment. That's why you do this. So guys, I've done it. And that's why you buy the first property. That's why you buy the first condo, buy a 2-bedroom condo, rent out that second bedroom to help offset the costs. And then in 5 years, either sell or refinance that property and then buy a multiplex. And then in 5 years, refinance that multiplex and then buy your dream home. By sacrificing a little bit now, you can take advantage of time, which is on your side, and it sets you up significantly for the future. So let me just go back to the presentation. Since we played the video, how I did it, perfect. Now, I want to give you an example right now, and this is in the Toronto market. I'm specifically in Toronto. This applies in any market in Canada. This could apply in Calgary. It can apply in Vancouver. It can apply anywhere. It can apply anywhere in the world. So here's a specific condo right now for sale. I know the building well. Sold probably about 40 to 50 units in the building when it was initially constructed. I own personally in this building. I have family that own in this building as well. So this is an example of a 2-bedroom condo, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. Now it's listed as a 1+1, but realistically it is a 2-bedroom because I know this building intimately. So you would be able to use that den, and it's a second bedroom. So when they designed the building, and now I'm going down a rabbit hole, when they designed the buildings, these were designed as 2-bedroom units. The city said, we want these to be 1+ dens. So the builder just removed the wall that was there. You just put your own wall back up. It's 2-bedroom. They do it all over this building. So you'd convert this to a 2-bedroom and you rent it out. So this unit right here for sale for $649,800. In my example, I go, okay, well, you know what? You do some negotiations. It's been on the market for over 30 days. It was also listed at a higher price before. So let's say we get it at a $625,000 valuation. And today, this is interest rate today, you'd be able to get a 4.89 interest rate on this property. You would be able to put 5% down on this property. And that amortization number is wrong. That's actually 25 years. So the amortization period over this would be 25 years. So with your annual property tax, your monthly maintenance fee, monthly mortgage payment, your total cost would be over $4,000 per month. And you'd be like, Alex, that's crazy. I can't do that. That's insane. But what you do is you rent out that second bedroom. That second bedroom, you'd be able to rent out for $1,400 per month. So that means your actual cash out of pocket would be $2,695 per month, which may seem like a lot, but to rent a 1-bedroom in this building is about $2,500. So realistically, you're paying a little bit more per month than what you pay for a 1-bedroom in this building to rent, and you'd own it. And again, your utility expenses you'd be sharing with that person. So half your electricity costs you'd be sharing with that person, half your internet costs be sharing with that other person's living in the property. And when you start sharing those expenses, it brings you in line with the 1-bedroom rent, but you own this property. Now, this is where things get exciting. So you buy this property, you make the sacrifice. So you're making some sacrifices because maybe you can't live the full lifestyle, the full rental lifestyle you wanted to, but this is what happens if you make those sacrifices. And I've made these sacrifices. I've done these things, and it's paid off for me significantly because what you're doing is you're taking advantage of the value of time. The younger you are, the longer runway you have to make money in real estate. So You buy that property for $625,000 in 2024. So total equity payback. So every month, so where I show you that $2,695, part of that amount, you're paying down the mortgage. So that's not an expense. That's just a forced savings. Forced savings. So in year one, you're paying back over $12,000 back to yourself. You're paying off the mortgage. In year two, you continue to pay down that mortgage. Plus, you're going to see a big jump in the value. That property by the end of 2025 be worth over $750,000. Why do you see that big jump in values? Well, I'm going to show you what past sales prices of this unit were. And I have a whole presentation on why we're going to see condo prices jump year over year by a significant amount. It all comes down to decreasing interest rates, which we are in that cycle right now. So you're going to see a big jump in value in 2025. It will go up by $125,000. Plus, you have that total equity payback. So your total gain by the end of 2025 is $150,000. 2026, just go to a compounded 5% annual growth rate. So got equity payback. So now total gain is $201,000. Again, 5% growth, more equity pay down, total gain $255,000. Expected growth, again, 5%. By the end of 2029, the total gain on this is $372,000. Now, as I said, with variable rates will go down to 4% by the end of 2025. And what happens at that point is supply will decrease significantly because investors will be taking their units off the market because they'll be cash flow positive again. And you'll have more first-time buyers that are qualifying for mortgages. So what you get by buying today, by buying at some point in 2024, doesn't need to be tomorrow, can be this fall, but this is where we're going to see a bottoming out of values. You're going to gain over this period $372,000. That is by not renting, by buying. And how do I know? You're like, Alex, you have that big jump of $125,000. Well, this same unit in February 2022, the peak of the market, sold for $840,000. This same unit, just even last year, 1 year ago, sold for $755,000. We're right in the bottom of where the market is. That we're buying at the bottom. You buy at the bottom, and then you see values go up. So that's how I know that I'm going to see values go up, because I've already seen these valuations on these properties. And again, I have a whole presentation showing how we calculate values, future values. So I know this value will go up. So to be the contrarian, you're like, well, Alex, I could be saving my money. I could just be renting. Okay, so I did the contrarian example. So to rent out this specific unit, today, that rent on this unit is $2,850 per month. Your share of the rent, if you're just cutting it down the middle, is $1,425. Okay, so that's pretty good. And so the difference between the total monthly net cost to own versus rent is cash is just over $1,200, nearly $1,300. Okay, so Alex, I am going to be super diligent. So this requires you to save every single penny of that difference. So we're gonna assume that the person that's renting is fiscally responsible and saves every single penny that they bring in on the difference. So if we save that money, annual return first year, and total annual savings just over $15,000, and you're going to invest, and we're going to invest that money. So we're going to invest that money because we're fiscally responsible, and we're good investors. We're going to get 10% return on that money. But do you know what happens when you get a return? The taxman comes in return, takes half of it as well. So my after-tax return on that is really just 5%. And then we run these numbers throughout the years. And again, if you are diligent, fiscally responsible, don't spend any extra money, because there's no one forcing you to save that. If you don't spend any extra money, you'll save $100,000. And that's if you earned a 10% return over that period. So let's compare the two. So renting, end of 2029, little typo there, but end of 2029, your after-tax savings from renting and investing is 103,000. This assumes, again, you don't spend your savings. You're diligent, you don't spend. But if you own, end of 2029, your gain will be over 372,000, and that's tax-free money. There's no taxes on that money. This is a principal residence. Plus, your equity pay down is a forced savings. You can't spend it. You can't spend any of that money. So on the renting example, we're assuming you're fiscally responsible and you aren't going to spend any of that money. You're not going to touch that account. Someone locks that money away for you, and then you're an astute investor and you're making a 10% return every year on that because you play Bay Street and you're fiscally responsible. Those are a lot of assumptions. So massive difference, 103,000 versus 372,000. We're over a 3 times multiplier better off buying than renting. And now what's the example? Like, what does this cost you to do this? Well, so on a $625,000 purchase, but 5% down payment on that. So just over $31,000. Legal fees of $2,000. Total funds required, $42,725. So where do I get that 42? Maybe you don't have the $42,000. How do I get it? Well, you can get 35K from your RRSP tax-free. So you can after 90 days, if you put $35,000 a day in 90 days, you can take that out. And in year one, you can take $8,000 out from your home buyer plan tax-free. That's another government plan that's been recently introduced, and that gives you your $43,000. So you can do this in 90 days and invest that money in your RRSPs, and then take that money out, and then you get a tax credit on that the following year. So anyone can do this. I've done it myself. Now, I realize that it's hard to qualify for a mortgage. So if you can't qualify for the $625,000 with 5% down, that's realistic. Might not happen with high rates. So how do you do that? Well, you can have a parent or family member co-sign the mortgage with you. That's okay. That is okay. You can also have the parent provide an additional down payment for you, so we can increase the down payment amount. Parent can help you with that. You can go splits with a friend. You and a friend can buy that. Or you can go and get a second job, i.e. make more money. Now, you may be going, Alex, well, like, I don't know if my mom and dad will do that, or like now you're making assumptions that fiscally my parents can help me. This is what you do. What you do is you build a business case around buying a property versus renting. And then you bring that proposal to a family member, to a parent, and show them, hey, if you co-sign this with me, hey, if you lend me more of a down payment, here's the fiscal plan on how I'm going to repay you, or here's the fiscal plan on why this makes business sense. Are you willing to go on this venture with me? If you present it in the correct way, and there is ability, and your family doesn't need to be rich to do this, but it makes a significant difference in your own life if they do help you with this, this will work out. And again, I have done this personally. I'm going to go a little bit more my personal background later on in the presentation, because I know anyone in here can do this. Anyone here has the means to do this. You just need to figure out a way to get it done. And that's where the Wealth Builder team can help you build out the business case if you don't qualify for the mortgage, or if you don't have the down payment, to show you how you can do this. Because if you keep renting, and even if you're fiscally responsible, you'll only save 100K in this example, versus over that 5-year period. Versus if you own that property, you're over 3 times better off. Over 3 times better off. And you can't get that time back. You can always get more money, but you can't get time back. That we can build a business case around, and then present that to individuals to help you get your first property. Where to get the 5% down payment if you don't already have it? Again, build that business case. Borrow from a parent or family member. Do a JV project with an investor. Show an investor, hey, you know what? I'll be the person that lives in the property, and helps cover the costs. And then we go 50-50 on the return, if you help me with the down payment. Get a second job, i.e. make more money. These may seem like ridiculous things, but again, I have done all of these. I have borrowed from a family member to help secure a property. I've done a JV project with an investor to help buy property. Actually, going with my condo building. Sorry, actually, my first condo unit. I did a JV with an investor to secure that property, and then I refinanced the later and paid them the profit out. So no, I have actually did that with my first property I lived in. So yes, I've done that. And to get a second job, i.e., make more money, I've been working since I was in grade 6. In regards, got a paper route, worked at a landfill, everything like that. In university, I was working in the summers. Before I got my co-ops, I was during the day, I would work in an ingredients factory on the floor, packaging ingredients. And then in the evening, I would go to a grocery store and stock shelves. And I lived in a basement in Mississauga. So I've done all of it. And that's how I know everyone on this call can do the same thing, because I have done it. And now that I'm 42, turning 43, I can look back and go, hey, there's no excuses here. I have done everything here. And I know that everyone on this call can do it too. And the key thing, equity pay down is for savings. You can't spend it. And that's the pure beauty of when you own a property and then have someone else helping pay off the costs. So this is where I go into my background. What's your excuse? Because a lot of people, and I love it when I advertise these webinars and people make assumptions about people's backgrounds. Well, I'm born and raised in a town called Cape Real, 45 minutes north of Sudbury. So my town had 4,000 people. Small town, Northern Ontario. Father was a carman for CN Rail. What a carman would do is a carman was kind of like the mechanic for the trains. That's the town of Cape Real is literally in the middle of nowhere. There's only a rail yard there, and they worked on the train. So he was a carman for CN Rail, and he passed away when I was 21. And my mother worked for the city of Sudbury. So no crazy wealth or background or anything like that. Frankly, my family wanted me to stay in Sudbury, and not relocate down to Southern Ontario, where I went to Wilfrid Laurier University, and then I moved to Toronto after the fact. And my first job, I said I was a paper boy, but my first real job was I was a garbage man landfill operator. So that's what I did in high school. I was a garbage man, and I worked at a landfill. So I have done all these different jobs. And I know that if you work these jobs and work hard and save money and then buy your first property, you're going to be far better off financially than renting. So here's the motivation. My childhood, truly, and my mom goes like, "Oh, you're ridiculous when you say this," but it's really like my trailer park was like, well, sorry, my childhood was like Trailer Park Boys. Literally, the town I grew up in, everything like that. Very similar to the TV show Trailer Park Boys. But where am I now? Just this year, I was down in the British Virgin Islands, was staying on Richard Branson's island, and we got in a bike crash together. And there's a picture that made international tabloids when we crashed bikes. So again, I know everyone can do this because I came from Trailer Park Boys, and now I have a portfolio worth, when I factor in the other properties, over $20 million. And it's just by doing the steps that I outlined above, where the formula is you buy a multi-bedroom condo, or in Calgary, it's more realistic to buy a 2-unit building. The unit or the second bedroom, that is helping you you rent that to a friend. That helps you offset the cost of the property of carrying the property. You hold that for 5 years. You either sell it or refinance it. Then you go move to a triplex. You live in that triplex for 5 years. Then you refinance the triplex. And at the end of that 10-year period, you can go buy whatever home you want. It's possible. It's doable. I have done it. And guess what? By following this model, and the more properties you can keep, you are now setting yourself up for retirement because you're able to hold the properties. I showed you the 5-minute video how I did it myself. Now, what I think I'll do looking at the time, I'm going to open the floor up to questions. I can go into there. I have a whole other uh, part of the presentation where I show details in regards to the going, how I know values are going to go up significantly year over year. If you buy a property today, in 18 months, it'll go up over $100,000. I'll share that link for that webinar in a in the email that goes out to everyone. That's on our YouTube page and our webpage as well, because I really like to answer anyone's questions that they may have on this, as opposed to going into another 45-minute presentation. So I'm going to, this is the whole team here. Kripa, we have Calgary can help you on the ground. Jeffrey, GTA, and obviously myself, and here to answer any questions. So I'm going to stop the share. So if you have any questions, you can ask them in the Q&A box down below. But I know that fiscally it makes way more sense. You'll be way more better off if you buy instead of rent your property, and you have an opportunity today because valuations are down, and those properties will go up over $100,000 over the next 18 months. So if you have any questions, ask them down below. Okay, so if there's no questions, what I'll do is I'll wrap this up. This has all been recorded. It will be emailed to you all. You'll have the opportunity to book a call with us to discuss more, to learn more about building a business plan if you're not able to qualify for a mortgage, and showing people why it makes more sense. Oh, there's our question. Question about selling a rental. Sure. Go ahead. What's your question on selling a rental? Just waiting for the message to come in. But going in, but again, you're all going to get a recording on this, and our team can help you build a case to show you how to get maybe a down payment or get a parent or a family member to co-sign. Okay, tax-related strategy if someone has a 5-year horizon. I would need more details. Are you living in are you renting out the second bedroom? I don't know. I need more details. So what I'd say here is getting into a more of a detailed question here. But I'll answer this from my own personal experience. So the first condo I lived in this for this specific presentation, first condo I lived in, Bohemian Embassy, 1169 Queen West, had a room in the second bedroom. They paid me a monthly rent. Sold that property as a principal residence. Bought my triplex. And that triplex, which had two legal units, which had two, I'm just reading this now, two legal units, it was deemed, I could only claim 33% of it as a principal residence, but it doesn't matter to me because I'm not selling the property. So I just will own the property forever. So this person's asking to avoid losing a large percentage of capital gain despite paying a large amount of interest, looking at it purely as a rental investment, not as a primary residence. You can't. If it's a rental property, you'll have to pay capital gains. That's why your strategy would be to continue to hold it. And if you wanted to pull out equity of the property, you could refinance the property, therefore not paying any tax on the refinance because you haven't disposed of the property, you haven't sold it. So the answer would be, if you want to avoid capital gains, then just don't sell the property and just refinance the property. Perfect. That's the answer he was happy with. So I'm glad I could help you with that. But yeah, so when you sell a property, that's when you pay tax. But if you don't sell the property, then you don't pay tax. And if you live in the property, it's a principal residence, you also don't pay tax in that either. So the strategy is if you're an investor and you don't want to pay tax on the capital gains, then don't sell the property. But if you want equity, how you pull equity is you do a refinance of the property. And that's also part of the strategy, how I built up the portfolio. And that will be the topic of our next webinar is how I built a $20 million portfolio, all the different steps that I took. Obviously, you see we're up to 19 properties now. So there's buying, refinancing, all these different things, all these strategies out there that I did to build that up. Uh, I wish I listened to your webinar before investing. I probably would have bought just one property after selling one. Now I have paid down I paid down payments 5 different condos. How do I qualify for a mortgage? No, that's what I did in regards to what I um in I have a video where if you watch it by what I did is I my first investment condo, I bought it. Then after I bought a pre-construction. Then after I closed on it, it had gone up significantly in value. I refinanced 200K out of that property, and I bought two more condos, and they go up in value. So buying, refinancing, that's how I grew my portfolio. And if you have five different condos that are coming up, and you want to qualify for the mortgages, well, send me an email and I'll introduce you to our mortgage team and they'll help you get qualified for a mortgage. Now, I will say in this environment, it is a difficult period right now, but that will improve by the end of 2025. This is just where any market, whether you're looking at stock market, real estate markets, you do have bumps along the road. But when you look at things over a long period of time, which that's why I showed the my whole portfolio and the value in 30 years, because I look at it in 30-year increments or 20-year increments or 10-year increments, and that smooths out the bumps on the road. So for qualifying for mortgages, we have our whole mortgage team that will introduce you to. Any more questions? So what I'll do is I'll wrap this up now. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in online. You'll get a copy of this recording, and you have an opportunity to book a call with one of the wealth builders. And as I said, we can help you build a business plan in regards to buying that first property, and showing your family why, or family or friends, or why it makes more sense to buy instead of rent. So thank you so much, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.